Are there any fees that have been put in place by the current government that you would attempt to reduce or remove, and how would you cover any revenue shortfall that would result?
Sure. There are fees all around us. Most recent example is the pet bill. I don't know. It's pretty new that passed. Where it's what $20 a year now. Basically, to have a pet in Jacksonville. And I mean, sometimes it just gets ridiculous and out of control. I have a dog. I don't want to have to pay $20 more a year to keep him in my house. And that's not even a fee that we were counting on when we first passed the budget. So we need to look at those. As well as, I think it's important, we need to sit down with the business community and members of the Chamber of Commerce and ask them, what do you need from us to grow jobs? What is impeding your progress here in Jacksonville? And go from that point, as opposed to, there's plenty of things that I might think are doing it, but we really need, I feel, to work with the community, ask business members of the community what is impeding their growth and bringing more jobs into Jacksonville, and then start taking a look at those and start making cuts.
All right.
What is your general view on the granting of sole source contracts for goods and services needed by the city? And is there a specific maximum dollar level above which any contract should always be subject to the RFP process?
Sure. I'm sorry, I had a little bit different. You're a little low talk. I apologize. So it's the sole source contracts as opposed to bidding them out.
Yeah.
What is your general view on granting sole source contracts for goods and services needed by the city?
Sure. I worked with that process when I worked for the city. Anytime we needed to make a banner or put out a program for an event we were having, I've dealt with that a little bit. And sometimes you need to have a level because it can get ridiculous at times. Like if you need a banner, like a $80 banner to hang up in the doorway, you don't want to have to wait 3 weeks while it gets bid out and then purchase to be able to purchase it for an event. So I understand you want to be realistic in that, but it's so important. I mean, we want to make sure that we're getting the best deals possible. And so even if someone is on an approved vendor list, we need to be revisiting that constantly and making sure that there's no one who's cheaper and nobody who could offer us the best value. There's this story that's always told in City Hall, and I heard when I first started working there that one of the tax collector offices wanted a picnic bench because everyone was standing around outside, and it would be nice if they had somewhere to sit, eat their lunch and everything. And so I believe it was an old city council member built one. Because they wanted to buy it, and the process would have taken like 6 months to get a picnic bench. And so he made one himself, and he delivered it there. They put it out. The employees were enjoying it, and they put in a request just to have it bolted into the ground, so nothing would happen to it. Well, that request took, I believe it was 3 months, and by the time the man came to bolt it into the ground, it was already gone. And I think that's a prime example of what's wrong. And so we really need to evaluate this process and look at it. We want the best deal possible for Jacksonville, and if people are willing to give us things for free, we need to make sure we're taking care of it. And we need to. It's just the bureaucracy now. It slows everything down. And so by the time, we had a program that we had printed. By the time we put out the bids and received them back and did this and did that, the time I spent on that I could have been doing real work, was amazing, on just the process itself. And so we really need to look at the process in general. And that's true with so many different processes in the city government. I mean, I'm not saying this is a small task by any means. It's a huge task. But that's why it's so important for city council members to go visit these agencies and departments and ask them what's slowing things down. What can we do to speed things up and make you more efficient? Because I can't underestimate the power of just knowledge and talking to the people who are actually doing the work to see what will make it efficient.
Hey, if you're elected, what would you do to encourage greater transparency and public access to the government and public participation in the legislative process?
Yeah, exactly, and that's what it comes to, is community involvement and public participation. I love how some city council members have made their email available online, and if elected, I will do the same. I think that should be standard practice for everyone. And it's just including people, for example, and it goes back to saving money too. Bay Meadows Road, part of Bay Meadows Road is in my district. It has gone from being a really nice place to live to really becoming crime ridden. Its businesses are closing left and right. It's an eyesore. and it's just sitting there. There's nothing to do with it. And instead of throwing a bunch of money at it, I think it would be perfectly fine and it would work out great if we put up more neighborhood watch groups, sat down with the sheriff and had targeted police presence in the area, as well as started more community involvement on the weekends to just clean it up and maybe do some landscaping. And so I think it's getting the community involved in Jacksonville again, as opposed to it being them versus us, is so important.
All right, very good. So, Vanessa, what distinguishes you from your opponents and specifically makes you and not them the right choice for the voters in your race with 3 other opponents? So
Sure.
why you, not them?
Yeah, like I said, I'm a local girl. I've been here for over 20 years. You won't find a larger cheerleader for Jacksonville than myself. We moved down here from New York, and every year I have more family moving down here because they love it so much when they come to visit us, and especially this time of year. But the truth of the matter is I am young. I have a ton of energy. I am not doing this for a career. I really feel like it's time for me to put my money where my mouth is. I've spent enough years complaining about the problems, and I feel like it's my turn to try to fix them. And I'm just like everyone else. I don't, like, one of my opponents put $100,000 of his own money in his campaign. Another one of my opponents has had his business passed down and has a lot of money coming in from businesses around the community and some special interests. I'm running a grassroots campaign. If I raise someone's taxes, I understand what it's going to do to that family, because my husband and I are in the same boat as everyone else. He was in the mortgage industry. He got laid off and had to restart his career. I was laid off after I left the city. I went and worked for a private firm and was laid off from there, and then I ended up just going into business for myself. So I know what it is to struggle. I know what it is to hurt. I know who is taxes or fees on the citizens of Jacksonville, what that means. I have friends who have to now choose between paying more property taxes or can a little girl go to ballet classes, and it's just not fair, and we shouldn't be asking the citizens of Jacksonville to do that. And so I understand how that hurts, and I understand those hard decisions, and so I feel like that's what really distinguishes me.
All right. Well, should concerned taxpayers of Duval County officially endorse you, what actions, if any, would you take to inform the electorate of this fact?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I have a website. Put it on my website, as well as I am working with a consultant, Kevin Doyle. He worked with Mel Martinez's campaign. He's a longtime family friend, and I'm sure we would do a press release as well. I've been lucky to have a few journalists take some good interest in me. Kay Day from The Observer has written several articles about my pledge to not raise taxes if elected.
All right. Well,